Moonlighting has been hotly debated for several weeks now. IT giants like Infosys and TCS have warned employees against taking up a second job. Wipro even went on to fire 300 employees for moonlighting. On the other side of the debate, companies like Tech Mahindra and Swiggy have supported the idea of employees taking up other projects or gigs. Terms and conditions apply though. So why do people moonlight? What are the arguments for and against moonlighting? And is it even legal in India? Let me explain. Moonlighting is taking up a second job or side projects at another company while continuing to work full-time. This is usually done in secret. Moonlighting isn't exactly new, but in India, the practice caught on especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, when employees started working from home. Many found that they had more time on their hands to do an extra job. So why do people moonlight? The first reason is obvious. It's extra money. Those who take up side jobs say that it offers them financial security in an otherwise unstable job market. The second reason is that it allows a person to pick up new skills or to sharpen their existing skill set. Companies like Infosys, TCS and Wipro aren't happy, and they've come down hard on this practice. There are broadly three reasons why these companies are against their employees taking up a second job or multiple projects with another company. Wipro chairperson Rishad Premji called moonlighting cheating. Plain and simple. Working for a rival company is not only a conflict of interest, but can also be a breach of confidentiality. Most IT companies have non-compete and confidentiality clauses, so working for the competition can be a breach of contract. Now, there have been instances of employees delegating their work to proxies and using their work hours for a side hustle. Companies worry that their data can be leaked or sold to their rivals. Many argue that moonlighting is unethical. TCS, the country's largest IT services exporter, says that moonlighting is an ethical issue. Several have pointed out that using a company's assets or resources to work on a side job during office hours is entirely unethical. The third reason why many companies are against moonlighting is that it could hit efficiency and productivity. Since many take up side projects after business hours or during the weekend, it could cause them to burn out, ultimately reducing their productivity. Those for moonlighting say that what an employee does after work hours is none of the company's business. They argue that an employee is contracted to work 8 to 9 hours per day. So what an employee does beyond office hours is their prerogative, and using their free time to work for extra money or to improve their skills is their right. But is it legal? What does the law say about dual employment in India? Is it prohibited? I spoke with Veena Gopalakrishnan, partner employment law at AZB and Partners, who put all of this into perspective. Veena says that India has over 200 employment legislations because labor and employment comes under the concurrent list, meaning the union and state governments can legislate on the subject. Regarding what the law says about dual employment in India, Veena says that it depends on the legislation that would be applicable to the employer. For example, the Factories Act, which is a central legislation and applies to manufacturing establishments across India, restricts dual employment. Commercial establishments, including IT companies, are governed by state-specific Shop and Establishment Acts. And the Shops Act in some states like Telangana and Delhi restrict dual employment. In this context, Veena says the restriction is from an employee health and safety perspective. It is to prevent overwork and burnout, but it has little to do with an employee's right to moonlight after office hours. So does that mean moonlighting is prohibited in India? Veena says no. Working two jobs in itself isn't prohibited in India, as long as the employee doesn't work more than the legally prescribed hours. Part-time work is permissible by law, meaning that a person can work for an organization on one day and another organization on another day, as long as the contracts of employment with both organizations aren't in conflict with each other. In the context of moonlighting, the terms of employment as per the employment contract and policies are important. If the employer has required and the employee has committed to the employment being exclusive, then moonlighting would be a breach of contract. Employers often include non-compete clauses in employment contracts. These clauses essentially prohibit an employee from working with competitors during the period of employment and a certain period after. But non-compete clauses after a period of employment are unenforceable and are considered agreements in restraint of trade. That said, there are judgments like the 1967 Niranjan Shankar Golikari case, where the Supreme Court upheld the restriction imposed by the employer prohibiting the employee from working with a competitor during the course of employment. This means that IT companies are well within their rights to ensure that an employee does not engage in work with a competitor. What has not been discussed in courts is whether an employee can do work unrelated to the job outside office hours, such as being a cab driver or a DJ or a baker or a beauty influencer, while also being a full-time IT employee. In such cases, Veena says that the employer and the employee have to go back to the terms of the employment contract. In many cases, employers are happy to allow the employee to take up passion projects or side hustles, paid or honorary, as long as it doesn't affect the employer's business interests and compromise on confidential information and impact the employee's productivity. While the trend of moonlighting has caught on because of remote working, many point out that more and more employees want flexibility when it comes to their employment and control over their time. But employers are pushing back. Besides issuing a warning, IT companies are demanding that employees return to offices. They're also redrafting employee contracts, making sure there are no loopholes to allow moonlighting. So, which side of the debate are you on? Tell us what you think about moonlighting in the comments. And do become a member of the News Minute to support independent journalism. And also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, if you like this video, hit the like button and share this video with your friends.